Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we're going to be talking about and reviewing the new adventure games Discover the Storyline, The Dungeon. So first thing I want to do is I want to give a big thank you to Thames and Cosmos for sending us this copy of Adventure Games Discover the Story, The Dungeon. It's part of their new series of adventure games that they've got going on now. This game was designed by Phil Walker Harding and Matthew Dunstan. I'm going to show you their names right over there. And it is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and for 3 sessions of 90 minutes each is what it's listed as. So, it's got some other stats here, but we'll go into those in a second. So let's start with so 1 to 4 players.
Well, there's characters. You have to pick a character, and there are only 4 characters,
So you can play up to 4. We played it at 2 players.
The characters are, like, specific. It asks you at certain points, like, are you
who's doing this?
Are you this character? Are you that character? So it does matter. It's
it
not
does.
Just like 4 random characters.
Each they don't have stats.
No.
They have each character has a trait. Like I played a character who was his name the Strong, and you were.
I was the Knowledgeable.
The Knowledgeable. So like if there was something knowledgeable, we'd always have something where knowledge would help you. We would have you do it. If something where strength would help you, would have me do it. And there are 2 other characters in there. Do you remember what the other 2? Because we didn't use them.
No, I don't remember.
No. We'll have to play them next time when we do it again. So now it says ages 12 and up. I think this is a good estimate.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of puzzles and stuff in here and concepts that are a little tough if you're under 12. The 3 times 90 minutes might be about right.
Yeah.
It did take us a while to get through the totality of it. I don't think we really kept track of time. Now, the other stats it lists, similar to how they do on their Exit series, they have these other stats here. They have decision-making, they gave it a 5 out of 5. Cooperation, 5 out of 5. Storytelling, 5 out of 5. Replayability, 3 out of 5. And that's where I'm going to draw attention to, is you can replay this. It's not like the Exit games where it's one play and you're done.
There's like 3 or 4 different endings, depending on what you do and how you get there throughout the game.
Yeah, so it is. And there's... So most of what's in here is cards. You've got a rule book. Now, you read the rules and taught me, and you taught me fairly succinctly.
The rule book also has hints at the end of it.
Which, that's good. But how was the rule book?
It seemed very clear.
And I was going to say, you're not usually the person who reads the rules, so and you were able to teach me with no problem. Then we have, and this is what I know you love, games with adventure books. Because you basically get, and they actually did a really brilliant idea in this, where, so they've got numbers to reference each part of the adventure, and it'll tell you like what you've discovered. And there are numbers to all these different spots you can search in rooms, and then there are numbers to cards and items you get. So if you want to use an item, like let's say you get a key, and you want to use it to unlock a lock, you combine the 2 numbers, lower number first. So if the key is like 15 and the lock is like 100, you do 15100, look up that number entry and read what it does. And that's actually, I think that was really a brilliant mechanism for keeping track of the story parts. Because then if you go to mix it together and there's no number reference, well, you can't use that key on that lock.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work. And then, so you've got some meeples for your people, some little wooden...
Because you have, you move them around. You build a board, basically, as you go, full of rooms, and you move your meeples around.
And you've got giant cards are for the rooms. I'm just going to show the first room, because I don't want to do spoilers in this. So the first room you start in looks like this. And as you can see, there are lots of numbers around with things to look at. And you read a bit of story in the storybook that tells you, and I'm not spoiling too much here because it's just the first room, but it tells you you've got like a locked box on the bed. You can see something glinting in the darkness under the bed. You've got the grate on the window. There's a loose brick in the wall. There's a skeleton tied to the wall. There's a drain in the floor. There's a locked door with scratches on it. And those are all the various things you can examine. In addition, then, you have cards, which... the cards, I'm just going to show...
the item cards.
Yeah, they're items. So, like, this is a brick, which is an item you're going to get. And I'm not ruining too much because this is something you find right away. But you find items. Sometimes you have to mix the items together to make other items. And again, you do that by combining the numbers and looking in the
Lowest
book.
first.
Lowest
Yeah.
first, which is brilliant. I think that's actually a really brilliant system. There's also people you can find. There's NPCs, and you're able to rescue some of the other people from the dungeon, though not all of them.
No, not all of them.
We found 5 people, and we were able to rescue 3 of them. And as far as we could tell, there were 4 people where we could only rescue 2 of the 4 people, and it didn't seem possible to rescue the
Yeah.
others. So that was a thing. But
Well, that brings in the replayability. If you're able to rescue everyone the first time, why would you replay it?
yeah, and it really adds to the replayability, because like my immediate reaction after finishing, and we've played through all 3 sessions and finished this game, my immediate reaction, and we had a positive ending, but my immediate reaction is, we got to play this again, because I want to find the stuff we didn't find. There are a lot of cards we didn't get. There was some kind of super special ending that we only found half the items for, and I was like, oh man. I was like, I want to find out what that ending is, and you wanted to cheat and just look at it. You're like, well, just read it. I said, no, we're gonna play it again. So this game, it feels to me. So you set out the cards, you set out your starting room, you put your meeples in the starting room, you read your story, and then you go, okay, what are we gonna investigate? I want to look under the bed. What number is that? Turn to the page. And you take turns.
You take turns. There's health cards, because there's things that can hurt you, so you flip over a health card, or 2. Sometimes it's multiple damage. But then you can find items
to heal
that heal you, and also at the end of a chapter, you get healed a certain amount of health per everyone. It'll be like,
you share it.
Yeah, everyone can heal.
The first one I think was 6 health.
Yeah, it was 6.
But it went up.
The second one was 8. But again, if you're playing 4 players and they're all at half health,
that's not all.
And you can only heal 8 for everyone. You know, I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word that would.
Distributor? Distribute the healing?
No, that's not the word I was trying to think of. But yeah, it's 8 health distributed among everyone, so it's not everyone heals 8. It's,
right. Yeah.
You get 8 totality.
You split it up.
Yeah.
So I was maybe halfway through the first session of this before I realized it. And I know it says it's made to play like an old computer-style adventure game, but I was about halfway through the first session before I realized exactly what they meant by that. And what it is it's made to be like one of the old point-click adventure games like King's Quest. Now, don't think like Myst. Myst is a bit later. I'm talking the really old ones where they had, you know, generic tongue-in-cheek fantasy themes on them, and you could actually get hurt. There were things you would click on that would do bad things to you, and you could even maybe die. It's more like those. Because like Myst felt really safe. There were no bad guys in it. There was nothing that could hurt you in Myst.
Yeah.
It's much more like King's Quest than Myst. But, you know, if Myst is the one you have to think of, think like Myst, but could be dangerous. And you're on the right track, right? Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
And it's so like all the numbers are the different things that if it were a computer game that you could click on. You know, when you get stuck and you just start clicking on everything and you're like, oh my god, oh, the wall. Right?
Yeah, we were like trying to combine like ridiculous things together. Like maybe this does something.
Well, because then you get and then when you get unstuck, you're like, oh, what was I thinking? This is so obvious. Why didn't we think of this? And so like the first session, it took me a little while to get used to it, but I think that by the end of the first session, I was in sync with how the game played, and you seem to be too. And the second session, we went through a lot quicker because then we knew like what sort of stuff to do. We were like, oh, okay, well, obviously these 2 things. Oh, Lynn, this is going to combine with your thing. Here, take this. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And looked up the number. And then we got into a rhythm. And we did pretty well, I think. Like we said, we got a positive ending, so that was good. Okay. The first thing is, a lot of people had been thinking this is going to be like somehow a spin-off of their Exit the Game series, and it's not.
There's a little bit of like riddle solving, but it's really just finding things and figuring out how to use them.
Yeah, it doesn't really play like the Exit the Game series. So the Exit the Game series plays, you know, everybody can do whatever at the same time and it's real time. This is you take turns. It's much more of a board game. It's a storytelling adventure board game patterned after the old point-click adventures. You take turns. You find objects. You combine objects to make new objects. You use objects.
And a location.
And a location to open doors, to do things, to defeat enemies. So yeah, and you do not destroy any of the components. This is completely replayable. And with the fact that there's like 3 or 4 endings in here.
I think there's like at least 4.
At least 4? With the fact that there's multiple endings in here, you're going to want to replay it. You know? Also, I just thought, okay, we kind of, we haven't been talking about, though, the experience really yet. It's fun. I like this. They sent us another one of these adventure games, and now I'm excited to try it.
That has a higher age limit, so that makes me wonder.
A bit more advanced,
it's like
maybe.
16 plus.
Well, I'm glad we started with this one then. So this one, okay. So the basic storyline in this, and we should maybe talk about that a little bit. Basic storyline is it's like a fantasy world. You're a bunch of people with amnesia waking up in a dungeon. So it's like those old school point-click adventures where there's no story before point.
Zork, when you just wake up in a weird house and you're like,
why am I here?
Why am I here?
And then you discover it as you go.
You go in the basement, get eaten by a Gru.
You don't get eaten by a Gru. So yeah, it feels like those, like Zork and King's Quest, where there's not a whole lot of story before it starts. You learn it as you go. The story is fairly light. It's like how those ones were. I mean, it's not like a story you're going to be telling everybody, oh my god, this story was so amazing. It's the gameplay that's amazing. The gameplay is what's fun. And the gameplay is great. Like, I really enjoyed it, and it's not like the story gripped me, but I want to come back to play it to find the other endings, because I want to try to figure out what combinations we did not figure out. Because there are definitely ones we missed.
I think we might have to play it with a third person just to get fresh eyes on it, so we're not just like doing the same things that we were.
Well, also to get a different variety of the characters. Like if we play it again with just us, we should totally play the other 2 characters we didn't play, because there's stuff where it's specific to what character you're using, which is really pretty interesting. But you're right, fresh eyes would be good. So okay, negatives. Do you have any negatives about the adventure games? Discover the story, the dungeon.
My big negative is that sometimes the hints weren't helpful. Because unlike the Exit Game series, where you have a series of hints to the point where the third one just like explains it and tells you the answer, this one it's in the second half of the rule book. You look up either a number of an item, or you look up a location. And most of the time when we were just like, we don't know what to do with this item, it was like, combine this with this card you don't have and you don't know how to get to do this. And we're like, how do we get that card? We don't even know. And then we went and looked at, yeah.
But we always, okay. But we never got so stuck we didn't finish a module of this adventure.
No, but there were plenty of things where we didn't even know.
We never found it,
like what. We had like a ton of items at the end where we were like, what even is this for?
Yeah.
Because the hint was just like, combine it with this thing that you don't have and you don't know how to get.
Okay, so all right, so what you're saying is the sum up of your gripe is that the hints were not as good as the hints in the Exit Game series. Even though, I mean, there's going to be comparisons because they're both game series by Cosmos, and they're both kind of like...
They're similar.
They're not the same, but there are similarities.
I could see them appealing to the same type of people.
Yeah. So that is your gripe, is that the hints are not as good, and it's because there's not like those very specific puzzles. It's kind of harder to do specific hints.
I understand it's harder because it's not just like an answer to a riddle or a puzzle. But I don't know.
I agree with you on this gripe. I did find some of them a little frustrating with the hints, but on the other hand, I don't think I thought it was as big a gripe as you do, because without those, I mean, we got our way through.
Yeah.
There was always a point where we're like, oh, well, I guess we have to go this way because that's the only way left to go. Because like there was one time where there was a passage we didn't want to go down because there was something scary about it. I don't want to give anything away. But there was something scary about it, so we avoided it. And then we went and did everything else, and we're like, crap, where do we go? And I guess we got to go down the scary passage. And we went, and it was fine. And it was one of those things where it's like you avoided it for no reason because it wound up being actually something you had to do. So, and there's funny stuff we discovered by accident. Like, I went and investigated something thinking it wasn't the thing I was investigating, and then found something really big and important, and was like, oh, okay. So yeah, overall, I would say it was really fun. So some positives. Do you get some positives too?
Well, it's very interactive. And I did like, I'm a big fan of those point-click adventure games, so I did like, the combining of objects and the combining of objects with location.
That was really cool.
And trying to,
This is...
it's like, because, sometimes you gotta... there's always something in, like, the first room that you can't fully get to, and then when you finally find the thing that you need, you're like, oh, yes, I gotta go running back to the first room, and get the thing.
And then another thing, so this is the kind of co-op game that I do like, and there's been more of these coming out from various companies. This reminds me a little bit, it's not the same, because it doesn't have all the numbers and all, but it reminds me a little bit of the Choose Your Own Adventure House of Danger game. And I liked that too. And I think this is the kind of co-op games I'm a fan of. I've had to think about it, and actually, I like this better than the Choose Your Own Adventure House of Danger. I think it was the numbers that put me over it.
Well, and also, House of Danger, you did get items, but yeah, I could understand why you would like that more, because the House of Danger it's literally just reading cards for like an hour.
Yeah, there's more mechanics to this. And I like the clearly defined of the numbers for what you can look at, which they didn't have anything like that in the Choose Your Own Adventure House of Danger.
Yeah.
So I've had a good think on it. We played this yesterday, as of the time of filming this. Finished our adventure yesterday, and I had a good think on it while I was sleeping, and I woke up, and that's my conclusion. I'm like, I like this better than that game. So I guess we've talked about it quite a bit here, actually. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about this game or game system?
No, I don't think so. Well, I also the cards are clearly numbered, so you can put them back into order fairly easily.
Makes it good for a replay.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. All right, so do you want to rate this first, or shall I?
I'll go first. Okay,
so how many stars out of 10 do you give to Adventure Games Discover the Story, The Dungeon? I just like saying it. It's so funny. It cracks me up.
I'm going to give it 7.
Okay.
And
so 7 is good. That's positive. That means you're going to play it anytime someone asks.
I had fun with it, and I enjoyed playing it. It was just and I don't even really know how they would fix the hints. It was just most of the time the hints were just not helpful.
But 7 is a good score.
Yeah.
7 is positive. 7 means you'll play it anytime someone asks, and it means we're going to be playing this again in the future. Now, I'm actually right there with you. I'm also giving this a 7 out of 10. I quite enjoyed this. I thought it was really fun. I really liked the mechanics. I really enjoyed it. My favorite thing about this... now, this is kind of weird. So, okay, I actually think I like the Exit the Game series and the way they do things a little higher. I think I gave the couple we've reviewed of those already 8s.
I think I gave them 8s too.
So I think
it feels more... The Exit ones, you have a clear thing that you need to solve. With this, you're just wandering around.
Right. So I think I like those better. However, there is one thing in this that I like way better than any of the Exit the Games. Way superior, and that's the replayability. You can play this again. You don't have to destroy the components. And that's one thing, that's my one big gripe with the Exit the Games. It didn't inhibit my liking of those games. I really like those games. But that is a huge plus on this over the Exit the Games. So 2 7s is 2 thumbs up from us here at the Board Game Captain. We both really enjoyed The Dungeon from the Adventure Games Discover the Storyline from Cosmos. And you know what? If you are a fan of the old point-click adventure games like Zork and King's Quest and the various other games from that era, I recommend this to you. Would you agree to that? So what else can we say we would recommend this to people for?
Well, I think it would be a good family game. It is 4 players, so parents and 2 kids, and...
Yeah, maybe you could have 1 kid under 12 if everyone else is helping out,
yeah,
it's cooperative.
And it's not like everyone, like, you get, you get items, but it says you can like freely share them. You know, so it's not like you don't have to be in the same space and then take a turn to swap items. Like you can just be like, oh, let's combine our two things.
Yeah, we were throwing cards at each other. We're like, here, take this. This is for you. And you were like, what is it? Like, take a look, you'll see. And you're like, oh, this is for this. You're like, put them together. Yeah, this is fun. I really enjoyed it. I want to play it again. I want to find that special ending that we were teased about, but didn't have. We were missing one item for it. So yeah, I definitely want to play this again. This was really fun. 2 7-star ratings from us. 2 thumbs up. Very much recommend this to you if you're a fan of the old point-click adventure games. If you're a fan of storytelling games with the story adventure books. Yeah, this is really good. Like, I think this is a really good adventure book game, too. So, yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns either on this particular game, The Dungeon from the Adventure Games Discover the Storyline, feel free to put it in the comments down below. Or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns on this video, also put it in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And hit that little bell icon on my channel so you get alerts every time we upload a new video. And until next time, game on.